The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
And welcome into the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. I'm Tank Spencer. Jeremy Greene's alongside. As always, it is another fine day here in the Sportsocracy. Like, share, and follow the Sportsocracy on all of the social medias. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And today we roll on with the Sportsocracy NFL Top 100. Yesterday we did 81 through 100. Now today we have 61 through 80. Thank you. No major news. I mean, today, I mean, everybody already knew that Jameis Winston was going to be the starter of the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, so, in other news, water's wet, it's Thursday, and cows go moo.
Right.
No shit, Jameis Winston's going to be the starter in New Orleans.
Jameis Winston is the QB1 for the New Orleans Saints, as we expected. There has been a change to the trade between the Rams and the New England Patriots, the Sony Michel deal. They had to go back, and I was surprised, that, as everybody I think was, that the teams were not aware that you can't trade picks that you don't have. You don't get compensatory picks until like a month before the NFL draft. So the deal was that the LA Rams were going to send a conditional 5th and 6th. But
it would turn into a 4 when they got a 4 from John Johnson.
Right.
I to be honest with you, if I wasn't just ridiculously busy the last 3 days, I would have read that and gone, oh, wait. You're not allowed to do that.
Right. So it was an illegal trade. The NFL made them go back and rearrange everything. And so they are going to give the Rams are going to give up a 4th round pick in 2023. And they're going to give up the 6th round pick in 2022.
Yeah, when asked for a comment, Bill Belichick said, we were going to cut him anyway, so I don't really care when the pick comes
right. through. I don't care if I get a 4th round pick this year, a 4th round pick next year. It's all gravy on the taters for Bill Belichick. Anyhow, let's roll on with the NFL Top 100 here. Do we need to recap yesterday's list?
I mean, no.
Okay.
It's readily available.
Okay.
Actually, if you didn't see yesterday's, and when this video ends, it'll just play it for you.
Yeah,
so
there
just
you go.
Hang out.
There you go.
Unfortunately, I do not have a graphic today because I'm a big dumbass and forgot to do one. So, you're going to take my damn word. You're going to take our word for it.
That's all right. That's all right. The number 80 player in the NFL, according to Sportsocracy ranker extraordinaire, Mr. Flowstradamus himself, Jeremy Greene, is...
My title gets longer every time you say my name.
is from the New York Jets, defensive tackle, Quinnen Williams.
He's a bad dude.
Yes, he is.
And he was good on a team, first of all, playing out of position. Second of all, playing on a defense that was bereft of talent. This kid is ridiculously good. Mm-hmm. And I think in Rob Saleh's defense, he's going to be better. Now, it's going to hurt him that every other defensive lineman on that team has recently been abducted by space aliens, but I don't think it's going to matter.
You think he's still...
In that one-gap scheme that Rob Saleh runs, he is going to be a monster. Mm-hmm. When I made this list, I was trying to... Because I knew Quinnen was in the top 100. I just didn't know where I would put him because I am a Jets fan. I literally sat there and tried to figure out how many interior players in the NFL do I think are better pass rushers than Quinnen Williams. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many I got to before I went, I don't think I can go any further?
3.
It was 2.
2.
It was Aaron Donald.
Yep.
And J.J. Watt.
That's it?
That's it. I didn't have any more. There's not a lot of defensive tackles in the NFL that are great pass rushers. I considered Fletcher Cox, and I'll be honest with you, Fletcher Cox is ahead of Quinnen on this list. But he's just super talented.
Didn't consider Chris Jones because he's moving to the outside?
Yeah, Chris Jones playing D end.
Okay.
So he would have been there too, and Chris Jones is markedly ahead of both of them. So yeah, I mean, I'll give you that one. If you want to consider him as one because he did play D tackle for so long.
Well, I mean, he is going to be able to move around on the line this year, so he's kind of a hybrid defensive lineman Anyway, so yeah, I guess I'll go with you on the, one of the most feared interior pass rushers in the NFL. 7 sacks last year, 2 forced fumbles as well. 2 years in the league. I love the kid coming out of Alabama. So you get no pushback from me having Quinnen Williams in the top 100. 79.
Curtis Davis said DeForest Buckner. DeForest Buckner is probably an equivalent pass rusher. He's a markedly better defensive, or markedly better against the run.
Yeah.
He is also ahead of Quinnen Williams. I almost said that. I'm glad. +2 for Curtis Davis. I'm glad he kept me honest on that. Because I thought it, and then I just didn't say it.
All right, number 79, Chris Godwin of the reigning and defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, last year was a down year for him. 2020 did not go as swimmingly as 2019. It took a long time to figure out what this offense was. We've all been inundated with the stories of Tom Brady talking about the playbook and how it was really 8 weeks into the season before he got a real handle on how to use everybody. Chris Godwin missed 4 games last year as well. However, he catches damn near everything thrown his way. You wanted to talk about how his year was down last year. Well, he had 40 fewer targets, but he caught 6% more of his balls than he did the year before, when he was like the number 2 wide receiver in fantasy football. Caught 77% of his targets last year. And the touchdowns didn't suffer because of the fewer targets either. He had 9 the year before, had 7 last year, and missed 4 games. So, obviously, no qualms with me when it comes to Chris Godwin.
Chris Godwin was just one of those players that does everything well. Mm-hmm. He's not a great deep threat. He's a very good route runner. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have that. What puts him behind all the other receivers on this list is he doesn't have that one skill. He's behind Mike Evans because Mike Evans is 19 and a half feet tall.
Right.
So he's the red zone guy. Chris Godwin just does everything well. Mm-hmm. Jack of all trades, master of none. Mm-hmm. I really like Chris Godwin, and of course, I knew I would have to let you just wax poetic about your player.
79 seems a little low for me, but I think the first.
I'm going to ask you the same thing I said when you asked me that yesterday. Who the hell would you put him in front of?
Exactly.
That's the hardest part of this exercise. Everybody's going to you slided my guy. Okay, who would you put him at? Who's he go ahead of?
Right.
Because it gets really difficult in a hurry.
Right. The fact that you're in the top 100, period, is an honor. We just get into semantics when we rank them 1 through 100.
Yeah, so many people said yesterday that I slided Ezekiel Elliott. I'm like, was he there? Then he's fine.
Yeah.
Because there weren't that many running backs in it.
Yeah, and also he was on your list, wasn't on the players list.
Nope.
Number 78, you got Brandon Scherff, the guard from the Washington football team. The one thing that you can say about Brandon Scherff is that he has been injured quite a bit lately. He spent time on IR the last 3 seasons, and he is a phenomenal run blocker.
If it wasn't for the injuries, he would have been in the top 50 because he's the 2nd best guard in the NFL. He's only behind Quentin Nelson. The problem is that he stays hurt all the damn time. Mm-hmm. If he can get that figured out, it's a guy that's been franchised twice. You don't see a lot of guards get franchised, and there's a reason. Mm-hmm. I look at a lot of the tape on Scherff, and when he plays, they can run. When he doesn't, they can't. That tells you pretty much everything you need to know. Mm-hmm. Hasn't really mattered who the running back was. Yes, some have been better than others. But, Adrian Peterson had a minute where he was effective behind Brandon Scherff. So him being the pulling guard, super talented, just injury issues. Mm-hmm. That probably pushed him down 30 spots in all honesty.
Yeah, 4-time Pro Bowler, hard to argue with the skill that Brandon Scherff brings. And, one of the reasons that, I haven't batted an eyelash when the contract talks come up with Brandon Scherff. Pay him whatever he wants, as long as you can keep him healthy.
That's right.
At number 77,
This is the, for Jets fans, this whole 5-episode series, you get 4 minutes of joy. And it's about to end.
Another Jet, offensive tackle Mekhi Becton. one half of the Smash Brothers. If you don't know them by now, you will by the end of the season. With Ali Vera Tucker and now alongside Mekhi Becton, that is one of the most feared left sides of the line in the NFL.
Mekhi Becton is a 6'6", 300 and a hell of a lot pound man that literally ran a 5.1 40th combine. He would be the biggest human you've ever met in your life, and he ran a 5.1. Secret time, you can't run a 5.1. I can't. He can't.
Damn sure can't.
No, I mean you could run a 5.1 if it was measured in minutes.
I don't even pick up food off the floor in 5 seconds.
Depends on what it is.
He did allow 7 sacks last year.
That's very misleading because he only got beat on 3 of those. And he was a rookie, and for the love of God, look at who he played next to.
Yep.
And the scheme. Sam Darnold holds onto the ball too long. I mean, there are a lot of things that go into that. He was also the #1 run-blocking offensive tackle in the fucking league with no running backs.
Right.
And that stat is when run directly behind him. So here's the thing. You know what I just said about Brandon Sheriff? When he was in, Washington can run.
Yep.
When Mekhi Becton was in, the Jets had a semblance of a run game. Now with him and Vera Tucker on the left side, it's why I like Michael Carter so much. Is because I see him running behind those 2 guys. You get a little extra time for Zach Wilson. All good things. Mekhi Becton is the best tackle that came out of the draft last year.
Okay. I like my guy better, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Your guy plays on the right side, mine plays on the left. Mine wins.
Yours wins.
Be 100% honest with yourself. You could have Mekhi Becton right now for Tristan Wirfs. You're telling me you wouldn't do it? Because I'm pretty sure you're fucking lying.
No.
There you go.
No, I'm not. I'm not telling you that.
There you go. That's honesty. We're a big fan of that here.
At number 76 on the Sportsocracy Top 100 list, Tehran Armstead, tackle from the New Orleans Saints.
This is a run on offensive linemen because I look at a lot of these guys very similarly. Tehran Armstead is a guy that you virtually never hear his name. Secret time with offensive linemen, that's a good thing. If you hear an offensive lineman's name a lot, he probably sucks.
Yep.
Because the only time they ever get called out is when they get beaten.
When they get beaten or when they have penalties.
And the saddest part, he's not even the highest rated tackle on his own team. We'll get to him in a little bit.
Tehran
Armstead's another dude that's had some injury issues, but I just really like him. I like him. The 2 bookends in New Orleans are why I'm so bullish on Jameis Winston this year.
Last year, he allowed just 3 sacks. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. The Saints' offensive line, it's one thing I can't get away from. So we had the news this morning that Jameis Winston's been announced as the starting quarterback for the team. He's never had this kind of protection.
No.
Jameis Winston threw for 5,000 yards in a season, and he's never had this kind of protection in front of him. Now, obviously, his receivers were really, really great with Tampa, and they kind of suck with the Saints outside of Michael Thomas. Marquez Callaway's not going to be bad. I am a believer that Saquon Smith he's fine. Jeremy likes to say he's bad at football, but I don't agree with that. But it does make you wonder about what Jameis is going to be able to do with more time to be able to make those decisions.
100%.
Because a lot of his interceptions that came with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a lot of those throws were under duress. He was running out of the pocket trying to find somebody. Everybody making fun of his decision-making process, and I get it. I was right there along with all of you. However, you just got to keep in mind that was a bad offensive line that was in front of him. And they have beefed that up over the years, and now he is behind an all-star offensive line with the New Orleans Saints.
By the way, I would be remiss if, and I'm going to do this every time news comes out with this team. You remember that team I showed you, and everybody went, "Oh, it's so risky. You don't even have a quarterback." Do I? Don't I, though? I think I do. I think I have 3 of them, actually, but
because it was
running backs,
Jameis Winston, Justin Fields, and
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
and at running back and a half point per carry, I had Nick Chubb Joe Mixon, James Robinson, Mike Davis, and Zach Moss.
It's not bad.
I like to look at that team late at night and just love on myself.
Oh, went too far.
No,
If you're going to do that, it should have been.
Oh, wait. Was she a great big fat person?
I wasn't trying to get a visual image in my head. Just we'll put that out there. At number 76, Tehran Armstead. While we're at a little break here, I just want to remind everybody, competition for a cause is still it is open. 3 different levels that you can get involved with. The links are in the description of this and all of the videos that we have put out over the last week. Competition for a cause. Best ball leagues, $20, $50, and $100 buy-ins, and the proceeds of these leagues will be going to Eblin Charity's St. Nicholas Project.
And we are going to extend that into in-season competition for DFS leagues as well. So we will do a weekly DFS league where the buy-ins go directly to that.
Excellent.
Came up with that idea at about 2 o'clock this morning when my wife's phone went off and scared the bejesus out of me.
You just woke up out of a dead sleep and like, oh, good. Hey,
It actually happened twice.
We should do DFS.
It scared the shit out of me at 2 o'clock in the morning because I had just fallen asleep.
It's very strange how your brain works.
Then at 6:20 in the morning, the alarm went off. She was nowhere to be found. She was in the other room because I had fallen asleep on the couch. But she left her phone with me just because, I wanted to wake up at 6:20 this morning.
Just so you could wake her up.
No, not wake her up. It just woke me up.
Oh, so it was going off in the bedroom?
No, it was going off in the living room where I was. She was in the bedroom, and I almost TT'd on myself. Her alarm is insanely loud.
That's good. That's a good thing, though. You should have a loud alarm. I keep trying to tell my wife this. My wife is one of the worst people to try to wake up in the morning of anyone, and the alarm that she sets on her phone sounds like a goddamn lullaby. Like at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's just this, like you're in some kind of a, translucent dream or something. So stupid. It has to be loud, abrasive. So I'm all for that, but I'm also for leaving it in the other room so the other person hears it, not you. I don't want to wake up and be jarred out of a dead sleep. I'm gonna let that happen to you.
Yeah, I have a real bad habit of falling asleep on the couch.
Yep.
I get heartburn. Prop all those cushions underneath me and do. And then I can go
CP time. Number 75, Von Miller, the Sackmaster. Linebacker from the Denver Broncos. He opted out of the 2020 season, but I mean, he is exactly, he has lived up to the name that he had tattooed on his gentleman parts. He is the Sackmaster. This guy has had only 2 seasons in his entire career where he had fewer than 10 sacks. That's phenomenal to me.
Yeah, here's everything you need to know about Von Miller. He's played in 135 games, I think. 135 games. He has 106 sacks. That's ridiculous.
Right.
I saw that he wasn't on the NFL players list, right?
Yes.
That's dumb. Your list is dumb solely because that's all I had to hear, and I went, nope, don't care. Don't. And then I saw Baker Mayfield and went, fuck off.
Baker Mayfield was on the list.
Fuck off.
And not Von Miller.
That's dumb. You're dumb for saying that.
Right. Von Miller is one of the chief reasons why I believe there is some big upside to the Denver Broncos this year. That defense is going to be incredible. Bradley Chubb on the other side of Von Miller, and they do have a competent quarterback. So maybe the offense can score enough points to get them at least, 9 wins this year. I mean, I won't say at least.
With Teddy Bridgewater, I believe more in this team than I believe more in Denver than I did. And a lot of it's because you got Bradley. You have 2 guys on this list that are rushing the passer. Or secondary guy. I don't care. Does that help? Sure. I don't care. You have Sackmaster and Bradley Chubb.
Yep.
By the way, anybody see the irony that their 2 pass rushers are named Sackmaster and Chubb? dick jokes.
Speaking of, if you want to take care of your chub and your sack, get with Manscaped. Manscaped.com. They are proud sponsors of the Sportsocracy. And use our promo code, save 20% off of your entire purchase, and get free worldwide shipping. Sportsocracy at manscaped.com. I mean, it's the Lawnmower 4.0 is one of the greatest inventions that I have ever owned. It's got the advanced skin-safe technology that helps guard you against any nicks and cuts that might happen when you're trying to, spruce up the lawn. And they got the Weed Whacker as well that's going to take care of all those unsightly nose and ear hairs that continue to plague us as we get older, gentlemen. Just because you're not out there anymore, play in the field. Maybe, a lot of us are married, a lot of us have families. You still need to spruce up. Spruce up for your special lady. And you can do that with all the products at manscaped.com. Not only do they have the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker, but they've got soaps and lotions and all kinds of wonderful things that you can purchase. And save 20% on all of it by using the Sportsocracy promo code at manscaped.com and get free worldwide shipping. Manscaped.com, your balls will thank you. Now let's talk about Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley also not on the players' top 100 list, but the talent makes him necessary to put him on this list.
I would argue he's the most talented running back in the NFL. The problem is he's on a dog shit team.
Yes, he is.
Where he gets no help, gets no protection, boxes are loaded, offensive line's bad. He's here solely because of talent, because the production in large part has not been there. But he is an uber talented player. Mm-hmm. And even with him being here at 74 on my top 100 list, I'm still going to avoid him like herpes in fantasy football.
He's coming off of the ACL tear, and he wasn't good before that. Last year, in the few carries that he did get the first 2 games of the season, he only got 1.8 yards per carry.
Which is horrendous.
Mm-hmm. That's hard to do. You almost have to try not to get at least 3 yards a carry in the NFL if you are a talented running back like him.
Saquon Barkley is 6 feet tall, which means he is 2 yards tall, which means all he has to do is get to the line and fall directly forward.
Yep.
2 yards.
Yep.
Couldn't even do that.
Nope. He could not. Injury is the big concern here, but, he started out his career wonderfully with a fantastic rookie year. 2,000-yard seasons under his belt already. I expect him to bounce back in a big way. The problem is he's going to be on a real shit team.
The team has regressed, and so has he. And I'll be honest with you, you can't tell me you go through one reasonably relevant knee injury and one catastrophic knee injury, and it doesn't take something away from you. Mm-hmm. I just don't buy it. Mm-hmm. That's the reason he's a 74 instead of 44, where I would have probably had him last year.
At number 73, Julio Jones.
This is one I know people are going to argue with me about, and they're wrong. Julio Jones should not be any higher than this.
I would agree with you. You look at his, you look at career accolades, like if we're doing an all-time NFL top 100, maybe he'll be higher on that list. But as far as it goes for now, the concerns are there of he's always banged up. He's always on the injury report. He only played nine games last year. But again, I just want to remind everybody, just because he's always on the injury report doesn't mean he doesn't always play. Because
no, he plays a lot. And here's the thing. This is a 15-plus yard per reception guy historically, and he was last year too.
Yep.
Hey, what's funny is I know people are going to argue with me, and I think I'm going to get it from both sides. Ones that I got him too high and ones that I got him too low. Here's the thing. You name me a receiver. As we go through this list, you tell me a receiver that Julio Jones should be in front of. Mm-hmm. Because the next one, it's not even all that close to me. So you got to slide him somewhere. In terms of do I have him too high? When he's on the field, he's still really good. He's not exactly the same guy that he was because he doesn't have the big play potential that he once had. Mm-hmm. He's still a very good, very consistent receiver. I would argue he's probably the best number 2 in the league. If there's a better 2 in the league, I don't know who it is. You're going to say Chris Godwin. I already know. Just, okay. Okay.
Adam Thielen.
Fuck off.
I mean, I'm just trying to think, like, those are the guys that he's competing with as number 2s on their teams.
Insane. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's not even close.
Yeah, he was number 29 on the players list.
Which is so stupid. You want to know why we call this a popularity contest? That's why.
Yep.
Julio Jones might be the 29th best player that's ever played football. He's not right now. Mm-hmm. Not the same guy. Father Time's undefeated, taking a lot of hits, a lot of touches. It's just the way it is. This is where he belongs.
On the players list, he was about 20 spots ahead of Mike Evans.
Which is insanity.
He was about 30 spots ahead of Justin Jefferson, 25 spots ahead of Justin Jefferson.
Which is dumb.
Keenan Allen.
That one I'm okay with.
Calvin Ridley.
Also dumb.
Michael Thomas. He was ahead of a lot of dudes that he should not have been ahead on that list. I like Julio Jones, always have. I think he's going to be really good this year. We've talked about his fantasy values and everything. I mean, any guy that can go out there and catch 75% of his balls, I really don't have a problem with. The 6 seasons prior to last year, when he only played 9 games, he only missed 4. I'm going to keep saying it until everybody gets the gist. At number 72, a current Atlanta Falcon.
This is where we start the all underappreciated list. Because this is a guy people will see the name and go, what? Yeah, he'd be that good.
Mm-hmm. Grady Jarrett, defensive tackle, back-to-back Pro Bowler, 17 and a half sacks for him in the last 3 years. That's a big number for defensive tackles. And he is a run stuffer.
Mm-hmm. The stats are never going to be on his side.
No.
I mean, yes, he's thrown up some sacks. It's not, jump off the page at you or anything like that. He's just so damn consistent. And he's the best run stuffer in the NFL. Don't even think it's debatable. Mm-hmm. He's the best run stuffer in the NFL. What screws him is that he's on a team that can't stop the run. Because all you do is run away from him. I can't remember exactly how the stat goes, but in plays that were run into the 2 holes occupied by Grady Jarrett, the average yards per carry was like 2.4. Mm-hmm. Every other hole in the offensive line was like 5.2.
Right.
That kind of tells you everything you need to know. Super underappreciated guy. Atlanta knows what they have in him. Unfortunately, he's the only player they really have on defense. Him and Deion Jones, who doesn't really like to play football games.
Dante Fowler.
Stop. I didn't like Dante Fowler coming out. I don't like him now.
Don't like him now. Okay. I mean, he is the only pass rush threat that they really have.
Which pretty much says everything you need to know.
Yeah, pretty much. Number 71, another wide receiver here from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Wide receiver. What?
Nope, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot to. I'm putting them in the chat, and I forgot to throw it out there. No big deal.
Mike Evans at number 71. The guy's had 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He had 13 touchdowns last year. My big concern about Mike Evans has always been the disappearing games. Every time he plays Marshawn Lattimore, I almost called him LaShawn. Marshawn Lattimore, he absolutely disappears. He can get taken out of ball games by elite shutdown corners. But there is no steadier hand in the NFL just about. It is once you get to this point in your career, though, as a wide receiver, where I start to go, how is your body going to hold up over time? I went through the same thing with A.J. Greene. A.J. Greene had pretty much the same stats as Mike Evans first 7 years of his career, as far as yardage is concerned. And then the wheels came off and he started getting hurt every year. Mike Evans, we have started to see him show up on more and more injury reports for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that's the only concern I have there.
I'm going to say something that I never thought I was going to say to you.
Okay.
I don't think you can be impartial on Mike Evans. I think you're too close to it, but on the opposite side of how you usually are. You're usually a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fanboy.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, you don't do that with Mike Evans, and I don't get it. How many years has he been in the NFL? Missing games, I don't care. How many years has he been in the NFL that he didn't have 1,000 yards?
None.
It's 0.
Yeah.
It's never happened. Not nary, not one time.
Mm-hmm.
I love Mike Evans. I understand he has some bootsy games. That's what happens when you have 6'5" receivers. Mm-hmm. Name me in the history of the NFL a receiver that tall that didn't have a little bit of inconsistency. I would argue it's less with Mike Evans than it's ever been for anybody else. One of the best red zone targets in the NFL, 3 double-digit touchdown seasons. I mean, good. I mean, how much? What do you want me to give you? He's the only red zone threat I've ever seen that had a double-digit yards at the target year. Now, granted, it was 3 years ago, but still. He almost hit it 2 years ago and wasn't that far off last year. Mm-hmm. He does a little bit of everything, and to me, he's one of the elite wide receivers in the NFL.
Yep, he is, and he is a very physical wide receiver, which is why Carolina Panther fans like Kevin Vick say shit like, "Oh, if they called push-offs, Mike Evans would be ranked 125." Shut up. I love you, Kevin. Ring that bell.
Kevin Vick, the only person salty with a bell named after him in memorial that's not actually dead.
So yeah, anyhow, Mike Evans. Look. The only thing is when Mike Evans' name comes up, I mention the possibilities of he may not be all he's cracked up to be.
Every time.
You
do it every single time. He's the only Buccaneer you throw shade at.
That's not true.
That's 100%. You know.
Okay, fine. I don't know why I do it. If I'm being really honest.
He'd be the best receiver in the history of half the franchises in the NFL.
Yes.
And you still bitch about it.
I mean, he's the best wide receiver we've ever had. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's your other choice? Tampa Bay history wide receivers. Keyshawn Johnson?
That name crossed my mind.
And you would have been totally wrong.
I don't disagree with you.
All right.
And the name crossed my mind.
I mean, he is and will forever be the best wide receiver in Tampa Bay history. I really do like Chris Godwin, but he is an ancillary piece considering the pecking order of that. What?
He's not an ancillary piece. You're using ancillary the way I use, what's that word I always misuse? Dearth.
No, it's not dearth. I've never heard you use the word dearth before.
I do a lot. You don't listen about 30% of the time I talk. So.
What is the word that you
paltry.
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 You all.
Yeah, I always use that word wrong.
He is not a paltry receiver by any stretch. No, he is. Ancillary means exactly what I thought. What I thought it means. I looked it up just to make sure I wasn't incorrect. Providing necessary support. Chris Godwin is a support piece in the in the receiving game to Mike Evans. Yes, he is.
He's wrong. He'll never admit it, but it's fine. An ancillary piece is Jamison Crowder. Chris Godwin is not an ancillary piece. He's a borderline fucking Pro Bowler. That's not ancillary.
Okay. John Johnson at number 70. Los Angeles Rams safety, John Johnson.
He's one of the best safeties in the NFL. He's super underrated just solely because the stats don't jump off the page. Mm-hmm. He's only had 8 interceptions in 4 years. He's also a guy that you just steer the hell away from. I think he adds something tremendous to that Cleveland Browns secondary. Mm-hmm. By the way, you remember you remember that time that I told you Troy Hill didn't fucking matter and you kept trying to tell me he did?
Yeah.
Who's the starting 2 for the Cleveland Browns?
I don't know.
It sure as hell ain't Troy Hill. He's the 4. Troy Hill's the 4 in this secondary.
Okay.
Greedy Williams is the 3. Greg Newsom's the 2.
Yeah, you still had him down here as the L.A. Rams, and I, like an idiot, just read it off.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You're right.
John Johnson, Cleveland Browns. It's been a busy day.
Oops.
Been a busy day. 105 tackles last year, 8 passes defended, and John Johnson is going to be an anchor of a team that can contend for the AFC Championship. Then we get to number 69, Stefan Gilmore, who 2 years ago was probably what, like 15, 20 on this list as the defensive player of the year. He's been to Pro Bowls 4 out of the last 5 years. He is, he is one of the best corners in the entire NFL.
I mean, you're not going to get any slight from me. Stefan Gilmore is one of those guys now that lives on reputation slightly. Mm-hmm. He's nominally better than J.C. Jackson. He's not the shutdown guy that he used to be because he's 32 years old. That's the reason New England won't pay him. It's the reason he's going to be playing somewhere else next year. However, he's better than Patrick Peterson. I read a back and forth that Patrick Peterson and Stefan Gilmore were now the same player. And my only comment was, you are a fucking moron. And away I went.
He is a guy that you always have to take account for when he is on the field. Mm-hmm. Every team that plays the New England Patriots realizes that. And, I mean, hell, it may be a situation we may not have to wait too long. I'm hearing those rumblings again. The rumors are starting up again that Stefan Gilmore could be moved.
No, he won't.
You don't think so?
Why? What the hell you think you'd get for him right now? Because it's not nearly as much you think it'd be.
Could they get 2?
No. For a guy on an expiring deal? No. No, they cannot. He's probably worth a 3 and a 5.
Okay.
If I'm New England and I think I'm a realistic contender, I'd rather have him than 3 and 5. Fuck, Bill's just going to blow it on a kicker anyway.
No,
or another tight end.
Another tight end.
Yeah, he signed another one of those, by the way. Don't know if you saw that or not.
Did he really?
Yeah. Cale Waring from Houston. He was a high draft pick a few years ago. Now, 5. They have 5 tight ends that look like they will make this roster and practice squad.
Nice. Because they still have Dalton Keene and Devin Asiasi that they drafted in the 3rd round last year.
Oh, behind Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, who they just signed.
Exactly.
Please keep telling me that makes any form of sense, because it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. At number 68, Justin Simmons just cashed in with the Denver Broncos. He was a Pro Bowler last year. He, 5 interceptions. He's had 9 interceptions in the last 2 years.
Justin Simmons is one of those guys that really, I'm going to level, he really irritates me.
Why? Because
the tape on him, I'll tell you who he reminds me of, Anthony Harris, that played for the Vikings.
Okay.
Because when it falls off the cliff, it's going to fall off the cliff aggressively. Simmons is one of those splashy guys that I watch get his ass busted in coverage, and it drives me crazy. Because I can't tell if it's the scheme or if it's him. Vic Fangio's scheme is really annoying to watch on tape. Because it's kind of hard sometimes to glean who was supposed to do what. Because there's a lot of movement, and a lot of guys, it's very cloak and dagger, and it's really annoying. But Justin Simmons is a talented player. The good is very, very good. There's just a little bit of bad that pushes him down below the Derwen Jameses of the world and guys like that.
Yeah. 96 tackles last year. He's good for right at 100 tackles every year. Mm-hmm. And he has...
By the way, when your safeties have 100 tackles, that means your defense is not as good as people think it is.
But it wasn't. It wasn't as good as it could have been last year because of the absence of Von Miller. Cameron Hayward comes in at number 67, defensive end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's made 4 straight Pro Bowls, 33 sacks in the last 4 years. That's big boy numbers. What is it about Cam Hayward's game that you like so much?
He does everything. When you can be an end in a 3-4 scheme like that, and you can be a disruptive force, that's a different kind of player. Mm-hmm. There's just not a lot. That's what I always said about J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt was such a great pass rusher, and you were put in a position that's not supposed to be. So if you can get to quarterbacks the way that Cam Hayward does, he's very good against the run. He's just good against everything. Mm-hmm. Everybody that plays around him gets better. Consistent and you got to think about this. This is a guy that the Steelers have paid. They don't pay hardly anybody. There's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. Good locker room guy, good all-around player, good everything.
At number 66, this is where Derwen James falls in.
I am not even going to pretend that I am even kind of objective about Derwen James, because I'm not.
Florida State guy, plays for the Chargers, played only 5 games in 2019. He had a major stress fracture in his foot that held him out for 11 games in 2019. And then right before the season started last year, he tore his meniscus, missed the entire season. He's got 2 lost seasons. His rookie year was so phenomenal that you went, this is the guy that's going to change the safety game across the league. Mm-hmm. Can he reclaim that is the question.
Health. It's all about health. This is a guy that's there are not many guys that move a number. Betting-wise, Derwen James is one of a handful of defensive players that will move a number. And he's a guy that's played 21 games in his entire career.
Yep.
That's how good he was in his rookie season. I'm hoping he can reclaim some of that this year. I look at that defense, especially with Brandon Staley, and this is a little bit of projection because I've seen how Staley plans on using him. He is going to be a bat out of hell the vast majority of the time. I love Derwen James. That's a jersey that's up in my office as well.
I was so pissed off when we didn't take him in the draft.
As well you should be.
I mean, we ended up with Vita Vea. I think that was the same year. So I wasn't completely put off by it, but that was the one I wanted. Derwen James was the guy I wanted in that draft, and unfortunately he went to the Chargers. But I agree with you. I think if he can stay healthy, he's phenomenal, perennial Pro Bowler. It's just we haven't been able to see it. We saw the ability in the first year of his career, and since then it's just been injury after injury. Now the next guy on the list is the safety as well, but he's the exact opposite of Derwen James. He is Mr. Reliable. He does everything for them, and you know you're going to get the same output from him game after game after game. It's Jesse Bates from the Cincinnati Bengals.
A lot of people are going to gristle that I have him this high, and those people are wrong.
Having him ahead of Justin Simmons to me seems a little odd, but
it's not to me. I'll be honest with you, it's not even close. Talent-wise, it's not even close. Jesse Bates to me is a better safety than Justin Simmons is. You just don't know about him because he plays for the Bengals. The one thing that I routinely agree with Bengals fans about is Jesse Bates. Because anytime I say anything about the defense, they say, "Oh, we have Jesse Bates." I'm well aware. You only have one of those, and it's real easy to get away from him. Bad thing is, you can avoid him like hell, and he still puts up numbers. Jesse Bates is just one of those guys, and I'm going to be honest with you. He played at Wake Forest, so I had a slightly better eye on him. Past jobs and shit, there's a little bit more of a microscope on players in the South, especially players that are in the state. So I had seen him well before he made a name for himself, and he's just gotten better and better and better and better. If I did a most underrated players list in the NFL, I'm not sure Jesse Bates wouldn't be my one.
Okay.
If he's not, I can't think of who it would be other than him.
Right.
And maybe I'm missing some. Maybe I'm just forgetting somebody, but that's who it would be off the top of my head.
No doubt a bright spot on a horrible, horrible football team. At number 64, it's Michael Thomas, wide receiver from the New Orleans Saints. This was
one of the hardest numbers to put on a player.
Why?
Mixture of injury, situation, and me just not being dead sold of how great he actually is.
Okay.
He was a slot guy in a system. Okay, so the thing I've said about the Chargers with how Lombardi's going to run that Saints system, my fear is that people think that's going to be Keenan Allen.
Yep.
And it's actually going to be Josh Palmer. And that takes away some of the workload from Keenan Allen because you funnel passes to those guys. I'm curious to see what Michael Thomas looks like outside of that system. Without Drew Brees, who loved throwing slot guys. I'm curious what he looks like with Jameis Winston. I think it's still going to be fine, which is why he's where he is. But that's also why he's not higher than he is.
Depending on how many games he has to miss this year, I'm going to say I think it's going to be great.
I get asked this a lot about Michael Thomas. Everything I've heard, and I'm not going to lie and say that I'm super well connected in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
I got people that hear things. That's about the best I can. The weird thing is, the further south of us you go, the less I hear. I'm good up. I'm good where people make fun of how I talk.
Right.
But I'm hearing it's going to be inside of 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They think he can come back by the 4th week.
Yep. Which, to me, as I started thinking about what is Michael Thomas going to look like with Jameis Winston as his quarterback, I had to immediately go to Jameis Winston's last year in Tampa Bay, 2 years ago. Do you remember who the guy was that year? It was Chris Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Godwin was the guy to have for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like I said earlier, he ended up as the number 2 wide receiver in fantasy football behind Michael Thomas. That was the year that Michael Thomas just balled out and had, 129 catches or something like that. Just unbelievable stats, breaking the reception record for a season. I think it's going to be just fine. Jameis Winston does not have a problem throwing to slot receivers. He has a problem throwing it to the other team. He does not have a problem, though, racking up a shitload of yardage and touchdowns for his guy in the slot. I think Michael Thomas is going to be just fine when he comes back from this injury. That's why I've grabbed him in pretty much every draft I've been in, because people are waiting around till the 8th, 9th round to go, I'll take a chance on Michael Thomas. Yeah, just remember, this was a guy who was the number 1 wide receiver coming into last year. Zadarius Smith, linebacker from the Green Bay Packers, is ranked at number 63 on the Sportsocracy NFL Top 100 list. Back-to-back Pro Bowls. He's had double-digit sacks 2 years in a row. He is an absolute beast. And he gets, he is able to rack up big stats because, they have another Smith on the other side of him.
Mm-hmm. He's also very likely to be a free agent at the end of this year. He's most likely going to be cut at the end of the year. They restructured his deal, and I think he's owed like $28 million next year, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they can get out of it pretty nicely. But he's an elite pass rusher. He's one of those guys that doesn't get a lot of pub because he's so damn quiet, but he should. I feel like Preston Smith gets too much credit, and Zadarius Smith doesn't get enough.
I would agree with that. I've always thought that Zadarius was the better of the Smiths.
There's no doubt of that. No doubt of that.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said if Preston and Zadarius Smith didn't have the same last name, you wouldn't know who the fuck Preston Smith was. Straight up, if they didn't have the Smith brothers or whatever.
Brothers, yeah.
Is that what they call them?
Yeah.
I hate nicknames. It's just not my thing.
Like the Smash Brothers?
I'm not going to do it. Damn it.
What?
I had a joke, and I missed my time. No, Zadarius Smith's an elite level pass rusher.
Yes.
I really like him in the scheme. He's one of the few guys I think Baltimore's ever let get away that they probably regret.
Mm-hmm.
I know they don't pay guys more than they're worth or anything like that. Zadarius Smith is what the New England Patriots think Matthew Judon's going to be, and I don't think they're right.
Yeah. Tennessee Titans fan says the Titans need to go after that dude. Yes.
Him on the other side of Bud Dupree would make a lot of sense.
Oh, God. And there again, you could if you don't see the production out of Bud Dupree that you were hoping for this year, like Jeremy has predicted,
add a high-level pass rusher on the other side and watch him clean up.
Yep, exactly right. Speaking of clean up, we talk a lot about the Kansas City Chiefs.
I thought you were about to talk about your balls again, and I was like, I do not have fucking time for this.
No, we talk a lot about the Kansas City Chiefs. We talk about how great that offense is. The Honey Badger doesn't get enough due.
And see, I see this exactly. I see that directly opposite of that.
Why?
I think he gets too much.
God, no. He is phenomenal. He is nonstop balls to the wall every play.
Mm-hmm.
I love Tyrann Mathieu to death. I was a huge Honey Badger fan when he was at LSU and have been ever since he's been in the league with the Arizona Cardinals and now with the Kansas City Chiefs. I can't believe you think he's overrated?
It's not so much that I think he's overrated. It's that he gets beat and gets passes for it. He's one of those flashy players that the good is great. Yep. And he can make that game-changing play. Problem is he gets beat way more often than people think. And it happened when he wound up in Kansas City. Let me tell you a fun little stat about Tyrann Mathieu.
Okay.
The first 4 years he was in the league, he'd had one season where he'd played more than 72% of the snaps. Injuries and shit like that.
Yep.
In those small bursts, you didn't see the prolonged issues he has at times in coverage. It's because he's so damn short. That's the problem. Yes, he can move all over the formation. Yes, he's a chess piece that's a headache. Problem is that when you line him up guy on guy, it doesn't always wind up well. Anybody above, 5'11", can give him massive headaches, because I know he's listed at 5'9". If he's above 5'7.5", I'd be shocked. So I think he makes a lot of he has some physical limitations, and he does a great job with those physical limitations. But let's stop with he's the best safety in the league. Shut up. That's not even kind of true.
He's one of.
He's in the top
5.
Secret time, I'd rather have Jesse Bates than Tyrann Mathieu. Now, granted, that's partially contract.
Yeah.
Which is talent for talent. I'd say Tyrann Mathieu it's barely ahead of Jesse Bates.
Yeah. If you were throwing us out and said you got one play, who's your safety going to be? I'm going Tyrann Mathieu, because the big play, it can change everything.
That's the problem, though, is that he's a Sports Center highlight guy. And trust me, there's 100% of merit to that. I feel like people make him, like 2 people in the comments have said he feels like Troy Polamalu. No, he's not. He's nowhere near that kind of an impact guy. No. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thinking with him. Like, I've heard him compared to Sean Taylor. No, he's not. He's not even in the same ballpark. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm saying you're talking about one of the greatest safeties that ever lived.
Right.
He's not that. He's a very good player. Personally, I would like to see his snap counts come down. I think that affects him. Wear and tear being that small, trying to defend guys like that. I mean, literally the last 4 years, he's been in Kansas City for 2. The last 4 years, he has gone 99, 98, 97, 91. That's his the snap percentage. That 91, he missed a game. He would have been at 97, 98% again. I don't think that's who he is. And I've never thought that's who he is. He is one of those players that should play, if you play 70 defensive snaps, he should play right about 50 of them. And that is how you optimize the talent with him better than they're currently doing.
Yeah, but do you not get more spark plays out of him by having him out there?
Yes, but you also wear him down.
Yeah.
At the end of games, there are times he gets picked on in coverage. Straight up. He gets picked on in coverage, and people don't notice it because he had the interception, or he had that one spark play. That's who he is.
Yep.
I just wish his snap count would come down a little bit.
Okay.
It sounds like I'm throwing shade at him, and I'm not trying to. I feel like this is one of those fan things. You watched him in college. You know who he is. He's a defensive player that you can identify with because you know what he looks like. And so nobody ever breaks down in coverage, he makes it really hard on the other safety because he likes to gamble so much. Well, that's a negative. That's not a positive. It leads to those spark plays.
Yes.
It also leads to you getting your ass burnt.
It does indeed. All criticisms are accepted. However, Tyrann Mathieu is no doubt an elite player in the NFL, and hence his ranking here at number 62 in the Sportsocracy NFL Top 100. Last player of the day, number 61 of the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's Levante David.
This is the one that Tank actually thought I had him too high.
Only because I think he's getting to the point where he's regressing. You know, Levante David has been incredible. I mean, he had damn near 3 seasons where he had 150 tackles. He has been an absolute monster since 2012. I remember on draft day, I'm friends with a couple of guys who went to Nebraska, and I remember on draft day getting the text messages saying, "You're gonna love this guy," and I went, "Okay," and immediately he was an impact with the Tampa Bay defense. He is, I'm glad they were able to work out the contract and kick the money down the road or whatever the hell they did to get Levante David to come back, because he is no doubt the cornerstone gel guy for this defense that has a lot of young pieces on it. I can't think of a better guy in the NFL that I would want to be bringing along Devin White, who is going to hopefully be very, very high on this list.
There it is. That's the thing about Levante David. So you're locked into the tackle numbers. That's the most misleading stat in the NFL, and it's not even close. The thing about Levante David is he makes so many people around him better because you know exactly where he's going to be on every play.
Yep.
Every play.
Yep.
Devin White's ability to kind of go free range is because of Levante David. I said when they were drafted, I feel like Devin Bush and Devin White were very close to each other.
Agreed.
Devin White's a little bigger and he's a little faster. Think about this. Devin White's on this list. Devin Bush is not. Why? Because of who's been beside him. Devin Bush is having to be the Levante David in Pittsburgh, where he's just where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there. Now, granted, I know he was hurt. I know all those things.
Yep.
I'm talking about when he's been on the field, he has to play that Levante David role, which doesn't allow him to free range and things like that as much, which is why people see Devin White as so much better than him. I've always said if there was a Levante David, his name's Joe Schobert and he's there now, was beside Devin Bush, you would start seeing Devin Bush the same way.
Right. So that's this year. You're going to start seeing Devin Bush will probably be on this list next year if he can make the plays.
Correct.
Tackle, real quick, why do you say tackle stats are misleading?
I didn't know you were going to ask me that.
Well, I'm just curious because to me, I mean, tackles matter. And what Levante David's tackles tell me is that he is in the right place all the time. And that's what my eyeballs tell me from obviously seeing pretty much every damn near every snap of his career.
Name me the linebacker that led the NFL in tackles last year.
Oh, God, was it like Zach Cunningham?
Nope, he was 2.
Wasn't Darius Leonard?
No, he was 10.
Who was it?
Avery Williamson led the NFL in tackles.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's just one of those stats that you should throw the baby out with the bathwater. In the top 10, you do have guys like Joe Schobert, Devin White, Roquan Smith, Darius Leonard, Fred Warner's just outside of it. It's just a misleading stat. Because it doesn't...
It doesn't tell you how good a player is, just that he's the best tackler on his team.
It just means that he's the guy that... I know how I want to say this.
Okay.
There are times that you lead your team in tackles because teams like running at you. It's the James Ferrier rule. I watched him do it with the Jets, and then I watched him do it in Pittsburgh. Not a bad player. He just couldn't hold up to linemen. So he could shed blocks, but he had given up 4 yards by then.
Gotcha.
And so he gets off that block, and yeah, he's the guy that's there, but it's because they ran at you. Now, guys like, you look at somebody like Fred Warner, he's run at, I can't remember the exact number, but it's not a lot. And he's still in the top 12. That's when I look at that and go, okay, that's a little different.
Now that makes
Avery Williamson was picked on 2 teams.
Yeah.
One of them was mine. Just so happened when somebody ran at him, he could tackle them.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess there is a merit to that.
That's what makes me wonder what Levante's number is, because I'm pretty sure there are not many offenses going, yeah, let's run the ball at that guy.
Levante was 117.
No, I mean, you were saying...
the percentage of time that he's run at?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Percentage or whatever.
I don't know. The one on Fred Warner is just so astronomically fucking low that it stuck in my head.
Right. Anyway, that's number 61, Levante David, Super Bowl champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We will get into the next 20 on the Sportsocracy NFL Top 100 list coming up on Monday. And yes, next week we will be, at some point I saw somebody mention in the comments, we will be doing the Rate Your Fantasy Team or Rate My Fantasy Team.
Yeah, we wanted to do it today. I've literally got a meeting across town, so the second that camera turns off, I have to run through the door, change clothes like Superman, and get on the road. And be back to do a show this afternoon.
Yep.
Because this, today, is my first football gambling segment of 2021. If you've never watched or listened to our ESPN radio show, that's one segment you should catch every week. And I'm hoping we're going to have an announcement in that segment today. We're coming up against it's a deadline. Things have to happen. Contracts have to be signed, things like that. But we have something very exciting if you're a gambler.
Greene on Greene this afternoon on ESPN Asheville. Don't forget, competition for a cause. Links are in the description of this video. Best ball leagues for charity. $20, $50, and $100 buy-ins in the competition for a cause. All proceeds will be going to Eblin Charities St. Nicholas Project. Also, the Build Your Bankroll contest, season-long, picking spreads and money lines and all that kind of stuff through play action pools. That link is in the description of the video.
And that's 100% free.
Yes, it's
all you have to do is put in your name and your email address. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yep.
And you're done. And I'll approve it, and then you can compete against us. And we're going to talk about that on both shows over the course of the year. It's going to be a fun little thing for our Sportsocracy people. Michael Whiteside asked me who won Comment of the Week. Rob Johnson is the winner.
Excellent.
Michael Whiteside with his second top 3 finish, and we have about, good hell, 6 of you tied at third. Jason Trump, Kelvin Joyner, Kevin Vick, Adam Black, Armchair Commentary, Tennessee Titans fan. So we have 6 of you tied at third, so you'll all get one entry into our grand prize drawing at the end of the football season.
Hot. Can't wait for it. Comment of the week. Come hard and heavy in the comments. And also in your personal life. Just a little piece of advice from the old tankster.
This show has been bereft with too many references to
Lots
your
of ball
scrotum.
references. Lots of ball references. We'll see you on the ESPN side this afternoon when we will be doing the season preview of the Big Ten Conference, since that is the headline game of the weekend for Jeremy to pick. Nebraska and Illinois will do the season preview of the Big Ten. We did the ACC yesterday, and we'll get into the rest of the conferences next week. Have a great afternoon, and we will see you on Monday right here in the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different.